Good evening. It is July 10th, 2024. It is time for the July Planning and Zoning meeting. Would you all join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We can do roll call while you get the slides up. Mr. Montgomery,
Present.
Mr. Limbach,
Present.
Chair is present. Mr. Watkins,
Present.
Mr. Young.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez,
Present.
Mr. Martsky,
Present.
Mr. Saunders,
Present.
Ms. Fickett. Do we have knowledge of her online? She's at.
Ms. Fickett is absent.
Thank you very much. Can we read there we go. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. There are a few ground rules. Please turn off cell phones or silence the ringers. Also, please be polite to other stakeholders. No applause, no booing, no cheering. If you are in person and wish to speak, fill out a speaker information form and submit it to the planning staff before the start of the meeting. Forms are at the table next to the door. The commission chair will call you at the appropriate time. If you are online and wish to speak, raise your hand and give us your name and address and the item on which you wish to speak. I'm having trouble reading it. Thanks. And you can also speak to us through Teams. The commission chair will call you at the appropriate time. Your microphone will be muted at all other times. In-person speakers must come to the podium when called by the commission chair and use the microphone to capture comments. That's there at the center. Each elected county supervisor appoints 3 commissioners to staggered 4-year terms. Up to 3 commissioners are from cities. At least 6 commissioners are from unincorporated areas. A commissioner's service is pro bono. Quorum is 5 commissioners, which we have this evening. Special use dockets. Special use dockets are approved by the commission. A majority vote passes a motion. A tie vote triggers a rehearing at the next meeting. Appeals of special use decisions are considered by the Board of Supervisors. Appeal procedures can be found on the county website. For additional assistance, contact the case planner. Dockets other than special use requests result in a recommendation forwarded by the commission to the Board of Supervisors. A majority vote passes a motion, a tie vote fails. To voice an opinion regarding a recommendation, you may attend the Board of Supervisors public hearing. We observe the following time limits. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes for call to public, 10 minutes for an applicant's statement, 5 minutes for supporters or those opposed, and 5 minutes for the applicant's rebuttal. We need an approval of the previous month's minutes. Does anyone have any comments or corrections? I call for the motion for approval. Mr. Martsky?
Move that we accept the minutes as now.
Thank you. And a second from Mr. Gonzalez. We will now call for that vote. Mr. Montgomery, do you approve the minutes?
Yes, aye.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders, you were absent, correct?
Yes.
And Kim Depew, chair votes aye. Minutes are passed. It is now time for call to the public. Pursuant to ARS Section 38-431.01H, this is an opportunity for the public to comment. Individuals are invited to address the commission on any issue within the commission's jurisdiction. Since commissioners may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda, commission action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and a decision at a later date. Do we have any speakers online for call to public?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. In the audience? Hearing none, let's move on to our docket items. Our first docket is
Hello?
RZ.
Hello.
Who's speaking, please?
Hello, this is Dan Baker. How you doing?
What are you speaking regarding, Mr. Baker?
Regarding basically call the public, ma'am.
All right, if you'd state your name and address for the record.
This is Dan Baker
Go
with
ahead, sir.
ETUSA.org, nonprofit. What I'm bringing the community. I'm trying to speak with some of the planning and zoning. Really hard to get some plan and emergency situations planned out under the Community Right to Know Act. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mr. Baker, we won't be responding to you. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, under the Community Right to Know Act, as a community, we have a right to know, like I've been saying, the 100,000 tons of lead, how many tons of cadmium. There's no zoning regulations. Basically, the new battery, the BESS, battery energy system you have coming, storage system, it meets the tier 2, and I know the local community doesn't have a tier 2. I don't know if you're familiarized with this stuff. Actually, it meets the tier 2 and the tri. Very hazardous chemicals. I'm still within a month and a half in, and we are asking for air, vapor, water, and soil. By the community right to know, the facilities must comply, or civil, state laws, and federal laws are being broken at that point. PFAS is on every panel. If we're here trying to plan and we won't have a community, you notice the weather's getting hotter. It's called island effect. This is all, I've got all information even from the local universities that's done the test in 2016, including Harvard. Again, none of the LEPC is trained, and the way it has to go in the county is we have to let it burn. Letting it burn will equal death to the valley. You know that. I mean, that's pretty obvious here. We have 12,000 acres of solar panels already, roughly 17 million panels. Every second of the day, it's leaching in the ground. When can I get planning and zoning involved? Because of community right to know, this means stakeholders are involved. Is there any stakeholders or anybody vested? Anybody's name who has been on any of them facilities must get involved. And that's part of community right to know. Otherwise, you're not representing the community. You're breaking the order. You know, you got the government. You got, I'll have to bring it in if you all ever have the time to see how this thing is supposed to act and go. And it's here to protect the community when nobody else sees it. Again, 100,000 tons. If one person in that room can tell me that's a sufficient enough, a number that's not going to hurt this community, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to have an expert witness on your side, anybody who wants to defend this, to say 100 tons will work, because we have several. I've got a whole book of them that says otherwise. I'm a nonprofit, would love you all to work with us to finally gauge these 10 facilities that have never been tested to finally be tested. I have equipment coming. We're going to test these. So again, zoning has no regulations on the battery, energy, solar systems. They don't have tier 2 in the county. Unless I'm overseeing it, maybe that can happen. I don't see it. I've spoken at many already communities about this. So That's to get into that compliance would be nice. Can we get that much to get some, at least the soil, some water, see the damage we're doing? We have several labs, including colleges that want to be involved. Would love the community that represent the community to be involved with it. And actually by law, it states you should be involved with it. And if these factories or facilities are on the up and up, they have nothing to hide. And if they break these things, there is a huge fine.
Mr.
Well,
Baker,
state-
thank you for sharing with us.
Both state and federal laws
Your
will
time
be
is
broken.
expired, sir.
Thank you for your time. Everybody
Yes,
have a
and
good day.
thank you. Is there anyone else online?
No, Madam Chair.
Let's go to docket number RZ 24-09, Highway 92 at Keeling Road. Applicant requests rezoning from R36 to GB. Applicant is Robert Maloney. Are you present? Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 2409. An applicant initiated rezoning request to rezone property from R36 to GB. The applicant is Robert Maloney. The property is located at Highway 92 and Keeling Road, APN 105400004. Again, the request is R36 to GB. The plan designation is developing and the growth area is B, community growth areas. Existing use of the property, there is no use. The property is undeveloped. Proposed uses are undetermined at this time. Property is located approximately 2 miles south of the Sierra Vista jurisdictional boundary along Highway 92. The zoning map shows this is one of a very few number of parcels, I believe 2 parcels located between Ramsey Road and Wild Rabbit Road that have retained their R36 zoning designation. All the other properties fronting along Highway 92 are zone business. Some images of the property. This would be from Highway 92. And these 2 images would be from Keeling Road. Drone imagery, this would be taken from the west, showing the property's location along Highway 92. You've got commercial, non-residential uses to the north and south and residential development to the west in the foreground. Another image showing the existing residential development. And one last image viewing to the west from the other side of Highway 92 showing the subject property, which totals approximately 4.5 acres. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors used to evaluate the appropriateness of rezoning applications. In this particular case, there are 14 factors that do apply. Factors in favor of this rezoning complies with 13 of the 14 applicable factors. The proposed rezoning allows uses compatible with the existing business-oriented development pattern along Highway 92. Factors not in favor, a land use plan, concept plan was not provided with the application as the future use is undetermined at this time. The other factor in favor was we did receive opposition from nearby property owners. Public notice, the applicant did send out letters on 20 March and staff followed up with legal advertisement notice mail out as well as posting the property on 19 June. Staff mailed 19 notices to property owners within 500 feet, receiving 1 response in favor, that being the owner to the south, and 2 responses in opposition, those being 2 property owners of residential properties to the west. Madam Chair, that concludes staff's presentation of docket RZ 24-09. We are available for the commission's questions.
Thank you. Now is the time for the applicant statement. Mr. Maloney, please. Name and address first, sir, before you begin, and you have 10 minutes if you need it.
Thank you. Robert Maloney. I live at 5807 South Boulder Place, which is within a few blocks of this property, directly south. I pass by this every day. I'm actually representing the property owner. It's a trust, and I'm their representative as a real estate agent. The property is for sale. It's a logical use of this property to be general business. The corridor is improving, and businesses are coming into the area as our community grows. The most recent examples are the O'Reilly building farther to the north. I facilitated that property sale for the seller. And then prior to that, AutoZone, and then Circle K. we'll continue to see these various businesses acquire properties and develop them as our community expands. And this is a logical step to rezone this general business. As you can see, we've got Stan Greer to the right or the south. We've got the church to the north, and across the street is a corridor of undeveloped commercial. It's logical. There's underground water available down the street. It's level. The small wash to the left-hand side drains across the highway. I can understand why the adjacent residential property owners might be in opposition. But needless to say, it's a logical step for this property to be zoned general business, and I'd appreciate the support of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare the public hearing on this matter open. This is the time for comments from other persons. Do we have anyone online or in the audience? Hearing none. Can we waive your rebuttal, Mr. Maloney?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Public hearing is closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Do we have any questions for the applicant or staff?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Mr. Watkins?
Mr. Maloney, in one of the pictures here, it says for sale commercial land. Right now, that is not commercial land.
That's correct. That was an error on my part. When I found that out,
Mr. Maloney?
went to the, excuse me. Yes, sir. That is an error on my part. It would have to be rezoned, which we're doing now. And I brought that to the client's attention. He thought it was commercial, and I neglected to notice that, and hence have approached the county to rezone it. So
How long do you have it listed?
it's been listed for about, I think it's been almost a year, to be honest with you.
Anything else from commissioners? Mr. Taylor, your summary and recommendation, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 24-09 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval with the following condition. A 20-foot landscape buffer is required along the west property line at the time of development. And that concludes our recommendation, Madam Chair.
Call for the motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Martsky.
I move to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval of docket RC 2409 with staff recommendation, recommended conditions, rezoning parcel 105-40004, RU 36 to general business. Factors in favor of approval constitute the findings of fact.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Limbach, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
And Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
And Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous. This rezoning is, this item is to be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Moving on to item number 2. RZ 24-10. Arizona Street at Swan Road. Applicant requests rezoning of RU4 to heavy industry. Applicant is Marilyn Seabold. Is she present? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Taylor, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 24-10. An applicant initiated request to rezone property from RU4 to heavy industry. The applicant is BEMA LLC, Marilyn Seibold. Property is located at the southeast corner of Arizona Street and Swan Road. encompasses the northerly 1.7 acres of APN 10141-008A, formerly APN 10141-001H. Again, the rezoning request is to rezone property from RU4 to heavy industry. Plan designation is developing. Growth area category is rural community areas. The existing use of the property is undeveloped. Proposed use of the property is undetermined at this time. The property is located, is actually adjacent to Bisbee Municipal Airport. This portion of the property is as RU4, is formally configured. It was a non-conforming lot of record, measured as 1.7 acres where the minimum zoning requirement was 4 acres. The applicant does own the property to the south, which is already zoned heavy industry, and wishes to continue that heavy industry zoning northward to encompass this parcel. Since the applicant filed their rezoning application, they also filed a lot combination application with the county assessor. That lot combination has actually been executed at this time. Formerly, 001H was zoned RU4 and totaled 1.7 acres. 008 was zoned heavy industry and then 9.3 acres, but now it's 008A and is an 11-acre parcel that is now effectively split zoned. These are some images of the parcel from Swan Road and Arizona Street, and some additional images as well. This is a drone image taken from the, I guess that would be the north. The subject property is highlighted in yellow. Another image from the west. And another image from the west. The green portion would be effectively zoned heavy industrial at this time, and the yellow portion is the 1.7 acres in consideration. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate the appropriateness of a rezoning. In this particular case, 14 of those factors do apply. Factors in favor of approval of this application complies with 13 of 14 applicable factors. It's a logical continuation of an existing HI zoning district. Prior to the lot combination, this would have eliminated a substandard parcel, a non-conforming parcel. And lastly, the staff has not received any opposition from nearby property owners. Factors not in favor, none have been identified at this time. Public notification, the applicant did mail out neighborhood letters on 28 May, and staff followed that up with legal ad publication, mailing notices, and posting the property on 19 June. And Madam Chair, that concludes staff's presentation of docket RZ24-10. We are available for the commission's questions.
Thank you. This is the time for the applicant's statement. Ms. Siebold, you have 10 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Siebold, and it's S-E-I-B-O-L-D. My husband originally bought the 9 acres when the city auctioned it off in 1979. So he had the property. And then when we decided to build hangars, we could build a home because we could have a business with a home. And so we bought the little parcel from PD so that we could have a driveway into the house off of Swan Road. And so now I found out someone would like to maybe purchase a little piece up in the corner to be entered off of Swan Road and go through that unbuildable RU4 for a storage for his old cars. That hasn't been totally decided yet, but when looking at it, we decided, okay, since it's RU4 and I'm HI, you'd have to stay back a long ways to build. And if they were both the same, it's a lot fewer feet that are wasted property. And he can build closer and stay away from where I am. Do you have any questions?
We may call you back for questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
This is the time for the public hearing. Are there any comments from the audience or online? Hearing none. May we waive the Applicant's rebuttal, since there was nothing. The public hearing is now closed. It's a time for commission discussion. Do we have any questions for the applicant or staff? Mr. Taylor, your summary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 24-10 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval with no conditions.
It's time for the motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Watkins.
I move to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval of docket RZ 24-10, rezoning parcel 101-41-001H from RU4 to HI. Factors of approval constituting the findings of fact.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Maripsky. Is there any discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Mr. Montgomery, how do you vote?
Vote aye.
Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Mr. Saunders?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous. This item will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thank you, Ms. Seabolt. Congratulations. Moving on, item 3. It's number RZ 24-11 on Red Wing Place. Applicant requests rezoning of R18 to RU4. Thomas Farnsworth, are you present? Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket RZ 24-11. An applicant initiated rezoning request to downzone property from R18 to RU4. Again, the applicant is Thomas Farnsworth. The property is located at 1471 Red Wing Place, APN 201470445H. Again, the request is to rezone the property from R18 to RU4. The plan designation is rural. The growth area is rural community areas. Existing use of the property is single-family residential, and that will remain the use of the property as the proposed use is also single-family residential. Property is located east of Benson, approximately 3 miles north of Interstate 10. Zoning map shows that the property is in an enclave of R18 zoning. However, the nearest rural zoning district boundary is within 500 feet of the subject property. The applicant's site plan is a little bit hard to see, but there is a single-family residence with a couple of accessory structures. One of the accessory structures was built without prior approval from the county. The applicant is seeking to participate in the owner-builder program in order to basically proceed with the permitting process for that accessory structure, bypassing the submittal of construction documents. Some images of the parcel along Red Wing Place. This would be the rear of the property. This would be the front of the property, I believe. It's the dark building, the dark accessory building that's facilitated the application. And one last image with Red Wing Place to the rear of the parcel. Section 2.63 of the zoning regulations identifies 15 factors to evaluate the appropriateness of a rezoning. In this particular case, 9 of those factors apply. To be specific, factors in favor of approval complies with 9 of 9 applicable factors. The request is compatible with the prevailing residential growth pattern of the area. This is a down zone and as such reduces the number of allowed principal dwellings from 1 per 18,000 square feet to 1 per 4 acres. Staff has not received any opposition from nearby property owners and has not identified any factors not in favor of the application. Staff published legal ad, posted the property as well as mailed notices on 19 June. And these are the responses to date. And these are the 4 responses that staff has received, including from the property owner. And Madam Chair, that concludes staff presentation of docket RZ 24-11. We are available for the commission's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Farnsworth, it's time for the applicant's statement. Please state your name and address before speaking.
Thomas Farnsworth, 1471 North Red Wing Place, Pomerene, Arizona. Hello, everybody. I'm trying to get this rezoned for a few reasons. My ancestors settled Pomerene, and I've been there my whole life. And there's little homes popping up everywhere, so it's growth. But we like rural, and I'm trying to get my dad's rezoned also. I don't know if that's the next item. Maybe I can stick around for that and talk. I'm here for him as well. But trying to get this building I built legal, get all the formalities taken care of, and trying to get everything up to date. So it will reduce the traffic, as you already mentioned, and the house is going up. So that's why I'm trying to rezone it to RU4. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing on this matter is now open. Is there anyone online to speak to this matter?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. This would also be the time for the applicant's rebuttal. May I mark that as waived, Mr. Farnsworth? Thank you. Close the public hearing portion. This is the time for commission discussion. Any questions for the applicant or staff? Hearing none. Mr. Taylor, your recommendation and summary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, zoning commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding docket RZ 24-11 to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval without special conditions.
Thank you. I call for the motion, please.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Markski?
I move to recommend the Board of Supervisors approval of docket RZ 24-11, rezoning parcel 208-47025 hotel from R18 to RU4. Factors in favor of approval constitute the findings of fact.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Is there any discussion before we vote? Mr. Saunders, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Martsky?
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mr. Young?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
Aye.
Mr. Limbach?
aye.
And Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous. This item will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. We move on to rezone 24-12 and comprehensive plan amendment 24-03 on Firebrand Lane. Applicant requests rezoning again of R18 to RU4. Mr. Farnsworth is in the audience. Mr. Taylor, your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the staff presentation for dockets RZ 24-12 and comprehensive plan amendment 24-03. Applicant initiated comprehensive plan and rezoning amendment requests. The applicant is Landon Farnsworth, who is joining us via phone. The property is located at 505 Firebrand Lane. That would be APN 20844-047M. The plan amendment request is to change the land use designation from neighborhood conservation to rural residential and the growth area category from C, rural community areas, to D, rural areas. Again, the zoning amendment request is to rezone the property from R18 to RU4. Existing use of the property is single-family residential. The proposed use is single-family residential with agricultural uses. Subject property is located east of Benson, approximately 3.5 miles north of Interstate 10. This is the land use designation map that shows the property's location. Again, it's similar to the other parcel. It's in somewhat of an enclave. of neighborhood conservation and R18 zoning that is surrounded by rural designated lands with RU4 zoning districts. In this particular case, the property actually is adjacent to properties that with the rural residential land use designation to the north and the rural designation to the west. The growth area map similarly shows the parcels adjacent nature to properties to the north and to the west, which are in growth area D. The zoning map, again, zoned R18, and all of the brown demonstrates property that is already zoned rural, either 2 acre, 4 acre, or 10 acre minimums. These are some images of the property taken from Pomerine Road. And this is drone imagery that shows the approximate boundaries of the parcel, showing that there is a single family residence on the parcel. The parcel does total 36 acres. And there are some additional structures that are used to for cover hay for storage. And one of the precipitations of the requested rezone and comp plan amendment is to legalize those structures. This is a little bit closer view of Pomerine Road with some of those agricultural related structures currently on the property. So relative to the plan amendment, the current land use designation is neighborhood conservation. Typically, I think the big takeaway on neighborhood conservation is we would typically see this apply to properties that are located within platted subdivisions. Seeing a 36 acre unplatted lot with this designation would be a bit unusual. And we've had plan amendment requests in the past that were under similar circumstances. The requested rural residential is more or less consistent. We're talking about residential development on 2 acres or more with limited business activity serving the local residents. So in this particular case, the land use designation change does make sense based on the size and use of the parcel. The current growth area category, again, slow growing rural communities, small clusters of residential development, a variety of lot sizes, which is certainly characteristic of this area, prevalent agricultural activities. The request is to go a little bit less dense, outlying rural areas, low growth rate, low densities on large lots. So again, both of these categories actually fit the existing parcel to some degree. So the comprehensive plan identifies 6 factors with which staff and the commission and ultimately the Board of Supervisors will determine the appropriateness of the plan amendment. And again, the plan amendment request to change the land use designation and growth area category is required in order to consider the rezoning. Of these, 3 of these standards do not apply. One does not comply, and that would be substantial property owner support. I think this is kind of, we could look at it from a preponderance, like 51%. We did not receive any opposition, but the property owner support was fairly limited, comparable to our mail out. And I think it's fair to say that in this particular case, we do have 2 standards that clearly do comply. The pattern of growth no longer reflects the type of growth expected under current designation, which is true. And the new designation should provide a harmonious transition between existing designations. And again, this particular property is adjacent to both land use designations and growth area categories that is being requested under this application. So Madam Chair and Commissioners, factors in favor of this application for a comprehensive plan amendment. Again, the pattern of growth no longer reflects the type of growth expected by the current designation, which is neighborhood conservation. The new designation does provide a harmonious transition between existing designations. There are 3 factors that do not apply to this application. And lastly, staff did not receive any opposition from nearby property owners. Factors against the request does not have substantial support from nearby property owners. And again, that's relative. We would look at that based on the number of notices that were sent out, but in this case, staff only received 4 responses. So on this slide, we have the rezoning factors. There are 15 factors per section 2.63 of the zoning regulations that staff uses to evaluate the appropriateness of a zoning application. 8 of these factors do apply. So on the rezoning side, complies with 8 of 9 applicable factors. compatible with the existing residential growth pattern, which is predominantly residential on lot sizes varying significantly between an acre up to more than 20 acres. The downzone would certainly reduce the number of allowed principal dwellings from 18,000, one dwelling per 18,000 square feet to one dwelling per 4 acres. And again, staff did not receive any opposition from nearby property owners. Factors not in favor, staff has not identified any factors not in favor of the downzone itself. Staff executed public notice of this application 19 June by publishing a legal advertisement, mailing notices, and posting the property. And again, staff mailed 55 notices to property owners within 1,000 feet. That is a requirement for comprehensive plan amendments, receiving 4 responses in favor, including from the property owner, and the property owner actually owns 2 of these parcels. And Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes staff's presentation of dockets RZ 2412 and CPA 2403, and we are available for the Commission's questions.
Thank you. This is the time for the applicant's statement. Mr. Farnsworth online? You available, sir?
Mr. Farnsworth, you're still muted. The applicant is online.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Farnsworth. Please state your name and address and give us your statement.
Yeah, this is Landon Farnsworth, address 505 East Firebrand. And what we're trying to do here is you have 90% of Cochise County as rural, and according to my dad, most of this land was rural at some point. And some of that property that we had sold there to the north, you see, it's rural as well. And that was connected to this parcel at one time. We're simply just trying to get it back to rural. And that way we are able to do more with it, with our agricultural and with our building. And don't plan to subdivide it or anything like that. So that's just pretty much it.
Thank you very much. This is the time for the public hearing. Do we have any other statements for or against? Mr. Farnsworth, anything in the audience? Thank you very much. The public hearing portion is now closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Any questions for applicant or staff? I have a couple. Mr. Taylor, I was concerned some of the pictures showed a very large driveway. When we go to right-of-way, are we going to go to right-of-way permitting for anything on this, and can we do something to protect Promarine Road?
Madam Chair, the existing structures will require building permits, even though the owner can opt out of any sort of construction drawing review. And at that point, our Engineering and Natural Resources Department would evaluate the access to the property.
Okay, so there will be a look at that road edge.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. And then I read something in the application about splitting the parcels. How many times can they split before they get right back where they started from in a subdivision?
So the property is zoned, if the zoning is approved at RU4, the parcel could be split up to 8 times. A minor land division application would be required up to 5 splits. Anything over 5 would actually be prohibited under state subdivision regulations. So conceivably, it could be subdivided into 5 new parcels if the zoning is approved.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. The owners should be aware. Anyone else? Mr. Taylor, your recommendation and summary, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Based on the factors in favor of approval, staff recommends forwarding dockets RZ 24-12 and CPA 24-03 to to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval without any special conditions.
I'd like to call for this motion, Commission, keeping in mind that we are voting on both the CPA and the rezone. The motion, please.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach,
I move to recommend approval of dockets RZ 24-12 and CPA 24-03 to the Board of Supervisors, amending comprehensive plan designations and zoning district classification of APN 208-44047M from neighborhood conservation to rural, growth area C to growth area D, and rezoning from R18 to RU4. The factor is in favor of approval constituting findings of fact.
thank you. Second. Mr. Markski, thank you. Is there any discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Mr. Montgomery, how do you vote?
Aye, to approve.
Mr. Limbach,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins,
Aye.
Mr. Young,
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Markski,
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is unanimous. Both these items will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of approval. Any person not agreeing with this action should attend the Board of Supervisors meeting dealing with this docket. And congratulations to both Mr. Farnsworth. Our final item for the evening is Special Use 24-10, the name Green Energy Solution Trust. The applicant is Chong-In Choi. Is it Ms. Chong? Is that correct? Thank you. Mr. Taylor, your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the staff presentation for docket SU 24-10, a special use authorization request for an accessory living quarters exceeding the maximum square footage. The applicant is Chong-In Choi. The property is located at 3567 East Doe Ranch Road, APN 1140198D. Again, the current zoning of the property is RU4. The plan designation is rural. The growth area is also rural. Current use of the property is a single-family dwelling. The proposed use is for a primary residence with an accessory dwelling. Property is located near Pierce, approximately 1/8 of a mile east of Kansas Settlement Road, and the property actually is 5 acres in size. And this is the property's location along Doe Ranch Road, east of Kansas Settlement, surrounded by other parcels zoned RU4 ranging in size from 4 acres to higher. As is customary on some of these accessory living quarter applications where we're asking for a variance from a variation from the development standards, Section 2.48 of the zoning regulations outlines requirements for accessory living quarters as well as some restrictions. ALQs are allowed in rural and some residential districts. One ALQ is permitted per parcel and it can be attached or detached with the principal dwelling. ALQs are not permissible for separate addressing. The property owner must live on the property. The ALQ must meet the requirements of a dwelling, which includes living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation facilities. And typically, if there's no variation from any of the required standards, these will go through an administrative review process. If there are variations from some of these standards, a special use is required. This is specifically identified in the zoning regulations. Those standards would be if the ALQ is proposed to be rented or leased separately from the principal residence, if the ALQ is used for business purposes beyond those ordinarily allowed by the home occupation process, and a deviation from the development standards, which is typically 50% of the principal dwelling up to and including 1,000 square foot maximum. Also, ALQs cannot exceed the height of the principal dwelling itself. There's been some discrepancies in the application with regards to some of the county records. The application identified an 1,157 square foot principal residence and a 768 square foot accessory residence, which is proposed, partially built, and unpermitted. Assessor's data does show 2 single-family residents. It does not make the distinction as to whether or not they are occupied residences. The original residence on the property is 720 square feet. It was built utilizing the county's owner opt-out program, and that was back in 2008. The assessor's data shows 780 square foot for the proposed ALQ. The applicant has provided information showing that it's actually 768. Either way, 12 square feet does not make a big difference. The real takeaway here is that the proposed ALQ is actually larger than the principal structure. There's also a garage on the property that measures approximately 436 square feet. The applicant's site plan, which shows the principal dwelling approximately in the center. To the right would be the accessory. There are a couple of accessory structures to the west of the principal dwelling on the property now. This is a drone imagery taken from the north, Doe Ranch Road in the foreground, showing again the approximate location, more or less center in the property, the principal residence, with the proposed ALQ slightly off to the left. Another image showing the existing structures on the parcel. And a blow up of, again, the principal residence off to the right, identified as 1,157 square feet on the applicant's submittal. Actual suggests that it's 720 per county records. The proposed residence, partially built, unpermitted, not occupied at this time. 768 is proposed by the applicant. The assessor's data shows 780, but it could be 768. Again, a negligible difference in the square footage on that one. The section 2.48 of the zoning regulations identifies 10 factors used to evaluate special use requests. In this case, 7 of those factors apply. And factors in favor, as is typical with ALQs, complies with 7 of 7 applicable factors, and accessory dwellings there again are permitted by right in all rural zoning districts, provided they do not exceed those development standards or use restrictions identified in section 2.48. So in this case, we are looking at a significant difference from that standard that we've seen in the past. Factors not in favor, opposition from nearby property owners. So the applicant did mail neighborhood letters out on 8 May, and staff followed that up by publishing legal notice, legal ad, posting the property mailing notices on 19 June. So 9 notices were mailed to property owners within 300 feet. Staff has received 4 responses in opposition. One of those responses encompasses 2 parcels, and those would be the 2 parcels to the north or under common ownership. So staff has received 4 written comments in opposition from 4 unique property owners, different property owners. And Madam Chair, this concludes staff's presentation of docket SU 24-10, a special use request for an accessory living quarter exceeding maximum square footage. We are available for your questions and the applicant is present.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. This is the time for the applicant's statement. You have 10 minutes if you'd like to speak, please.
Muhammad Khan, and I'm the part owner of the property, and we live together. And my address is 3567 East Doe Ranch, Pierce, Arizona.
Thank you. Tell us about your project, please.
It's actually our residence in Pierce. We are moving our business from Los Angeles to Pierce area, and we purchased few lands and also one old bank building, which is going to be our office. So we actually assemble EV charging stations for the electrical cars. So we're moving our company from Korea to Pierce. And that's why we purchased this property for living. So we have our niece live with us. So the small dwelling is very small. So she doesn't want to stay with us. She's a grown woman. So we have to move it to the 1,000 square foot, and she will stay in the smaller one, 720. So that's our residence. There's no other plan in this property, not renting it. We don't know about 2 addresses. We heard about 2 addresses. When we purchased, there was nobody tell us. We only have 1 address as we know, but I heard there's some other address. So.
There's different gate, you notice.
There's 2 gates, but nothing about the address, we know about it. And we apologize if any inconvenience to the neighbors. We have no intention to bother anybody, or maybe we are new. We have to maybe meet them and welcome them to our house or property to see. And all the structure we have done is through SIP panels. So we don't have any concrete or anything in process we use. It's just simple panels. In one day, we build everything in one single day. And then second day, we put the roof, and third day, we put the windows. So there was not much, anything we had. And we have some stuff on the ground, which we cover with, what do you call it, FEMA tarp, the yellow, blue tarp from Home Depot, and maybe bins blow something up. And I think they will complain of that. So there's nothing else on the property is chemical or cement, nothing else. We can share everything. If city want to inspect, we can provide everything, city to check and inspect. There's nothing we have human body to hurt or anybody in our property. I know we have a caretaker who live there, but since we're moving everything here, so we're gonna be staying there, and one of our niece, she will staying with us. And that's the reason we buy the property. Any question? Can answer?
Is there anything else you'd like to say at this time?
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're telling somebody cut the pipe. Yes, yes, so somebody cut the pipe and water pipe. So we was in LA, so we have to move somebody in the property. Somebody just jump in, so we're just putting the cameras. So the gate, somebody always open the gate, we lock it, and always somebody opening the gate. So we're gonna put the camera everywhere, so we know why somebody coming in our property, and somebody actually cut the water pipe. So that's what we're dealing with. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I declare the public hearing open on this matter. I now call for comments from other persons. I have a request to speak for Sean Campbell. Are you online?
Where'd she go?
Is it Mr. Campbell?
Uh-oh, Sean's having problems.
Is he muted?
Sean Campbell, can you please unmute yourself?
We can wait. We can move to the second speaker while you figure that out.
Sure. My name's Renee Kitco.
Yes, thank you. Name and address, please, ma'am, and you have 5 minutes.
Sure, Renee Kitco, 11943 South Elkhorn. We own the property directly behind them. We've been there since 2012.
Go ahead with your comments.
Great, thank you. We are against the special use permit. That has been requested for the illegally constructed, unpermitted structure that has been erected on the property parcel for the following reasons. We have no idea how many people are truly planned to be housed in either the main house or the proposed auxiliary living quarters. We would be concerned about excess car and truck traffic, parking issues, noise, and water from our community well share that the main house is connected to. This would have to be addressed as far as the well share. Also, on our property deeds, it states that the well share is for domestic and domestic house and garden use only for one residence, not two. So If if they are planning to go through this, they are going to have to dig their own well, have their well put in. And that is on the deeds, and I can send you a copy of the deed if you would choose to. With all the wells failing and drying up in our area, this is a major concern. We feel that a second residence on this parcel will require its own private well to be drilled on that parcel. We must know how many people will be living there and staying in both structures for the near and long-term use, and what their nature of business is, because we kind of feel that the employees will be staying there, so we just need to know factual, because again, we're worrying about our well. Okay, the entire 5-acre property was cleared also illegally of all the natural vegetations down to the dirt, which resulted in many sandstorms on the many windy days that we have in our area. We can find no logic or reason for this destruction of natural erosion control and wildlife habitat. All of the loosened sand has blown into the mechanical area in the well share, which is within 50 feet due east of the subject's parcel downwind, and it rendered the pressure switch inoperable. This resulted in the loss of water for the other connected residents, including us, and we had to have a service call to have the switch diagnosed and repaired while we were there. We can only guess how long it will take from all the blowing sand that is still happening to blow into the well area and do more damage. We have 2 videos of the sandstorms from spring 2023 that I included for the YouTube links that's in my request. They clearly show the results from stripping 5 acres of desert land. And the links, like I said, they're in the public comment. As far as we know, no vegetation has grown back on the cleared land at this point. We've had to clear up blowing trash and constant construction debris from this property that's blowing on our properties and around the neighborhood on many occasions. The quality of this illegal structure is questionable at best. Part of the siding on the south side is warping and coming loose. Some of the structure on the north side is completely gone already. We cannot possibly put any trust in the rest of this construction. To be honest, we feel it just doesn't fit in with the most of the neighborhood, and plus it's quite an eyesore. With all that has transpired with this project so far, with no permits, no inspections, we do not have faith that anything going forward will be done legally and or not to cause additional problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're waiting for Mr. or Miss Campbell. Says they're on.
John Campbell, can you unmute yourself? Sean Campbell, can you call back in?
In the meantime, is there anyone else online that would like to speak?
No, Madam Chair.
We'll wait a moment for Campbell to call.
Sure. Just very quickly, Madam Chair, Sean Campbell did supply written comments.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Gonzalez.
I think we spent enough time waiting for Mr. Campbell to get his notes together. If it's not prepared, it's not prepared. I suggest we move on.
Well, can we read?
Any
would-
response?
If I could, well, suggest, could we ask staff or somebody to read the,
Comments.
the comment?
Was this included in our packet, Mr. Taylor? These are one of the comments that you sent forth to us.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Does anyone on the commission want to hear this, or did you read it previously?
I would like to hear it.
All right, Mr. Taylor, could you accommodate that?
So Sean Campbell supplied a 30-page comment with a cover letter.
Well, yeah,
Um,
maybe a cover letter would be fine.
Summer?
Yeah, it's a bit much to read. It's a lot of documentation about previous permits and violations. I think we're going to have to move forward on this.
I would just, if I may, there's, what we're seeing here is one page. One page and 2 sentences. And keep scrolling.
Yeah, it goes on and on.
Okay. Good.
Maybe get the gist of it.
One last request, if I may.
Yes.
This page only. It is signed by the Campbells at the bottom. It is that much and that much. That's my request.
Which pages are you looking? Look on the screen.
Yes, that's it. And if you want to vote, we'll just declare yea or nay on that. But my request is to hear that.
Okay, Mr. Montgomery, would you like to summarize some of that for us? Would you like to read through it and summarize?
I would ask staff to read that
All
out
right.
loud.
Mr. Taylor, looks like we better accommodate that.
So just to be clear, Madam Chair, you would like for us to read the cover letter that was supplied by Sean Campbell?
Yes.
Thank you. We, Sean J. and Sean M. Campbell, are sending our opposing view for this application. We are doing this for the following reasons. 1, all applications are fabricated and do not follow the actualities of what they have done. For example, land clearing permit. Owner applied for a land clearing permit to put in a road, quote unquote. See actual CC permit and drawing. What actually happened is they cleared the entire 5 acres. Please see corresponding documentations 1, 2, and 3. By doing this, they creating massive dust issues, took out the pressure switch at the shared well. There were no water trucks used to keep dust to a minimum or permit applied for prior to this action. Building. Owner has applied for an owner opt-out permit. In the actual permit, it states, I am the owner builder of the property. I will follow in strict compliance with 32-1121A.5. The property is intended for sole occupancy by the owner, not intended for occupancy by members of the public, owners, employees, or business visitors. Number 1, this property was purchased by owners as a second home, quote unquote. See attached document 4. So no, it is not a sole occupancy. They live elsewhere. 2, the building was not built by the owner. It was built by contractor Abarca and Sons out of Wilcox. Please see photo documentation 5 and 6. Building is currently in violation. See documentation 10. The special use application site plan states original home is 1,157 square feet. This is inaccurate. Original home permit that was applied for was 750 square feet. Please see documentation 7, 8, and 9. Since that is true, then the accessory living quarter can only be 375 square feet. On their site plan, they have switched the square footages to get this passed. The numbers are completely wrong. So in conclusion about the building, it is not owner builder. It is a second home. Original home is not 1,157 square feet. It is 750 square feet. The second home is much larger than the original. Again, no permits were applied for prior to the building going up, and owner has not attended any court hearings about the issue that they were required to. And if this is truly for guests, why do they need a 1,500-gallon septic tank put in? Seems overkill for the occasional occupancy. See documentation 12. Lastly, the special use permit was for an ALQ, accessory living quarters, and the fact that a secondary access was issued to this building is in direct violation of Cochise County restrictions which state no more than 1 ALQ on a parcel, no more than 1 kitchen per unit, ALQ shall not be subdivided or segregation in ownership. ALQ shall not have a separate address or mailbox from principal dwelling. See documentation 11. A new address was assigned by the county illegally. Since owners have not followed any county laws, permits, court dates, factual information, etc., it is not a leap for us to believe they will follow any further requirements. Our main concern is that this property will be used to house multiple individuals, equating to communal living for owners, employees, or associates. In fact, currently there are unknown individuals and their U-Haul on the property right now. There's been multiple problems with this situation that has caused us concern and aggravation. We have to pick up all their construction litter, the clearing caused massive dust issues, and frankly, it is a visual blight in our neighborhood. All of this, along with the fact that they illegally did everything, makes for a very sour relationship. So no, we don't want it. Sincerely, Sean Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor, for accommodating. Mr. Montgomery, is that satisfactory?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This is the time for the applicant's rebuttal. Do you have anything you'd like to say in response to these public comments? Yes.
Regarding the first seating, there are other people's gonna live here, but this is not true because we pay cash from our company and we own the company, she and I, and we are just gonna be staying there and with our niece. And that's it. There's, the guy right now is staying here, he worked for me. And then he lived there because somebody is trying to vandalize the property. I pay money for this property and I don't want people come to my property, cutting my water. And I pay the share well. And if we need to do, if they require us to put our city require, we can put our well. There's no problem. But we don't use enough water. There's no trees. All of the other shareholders, they have a bunch of trees, big trees, small trees, gardens. They put water to their own ground, but we don't use much water. We have only three people. And the gentleman is staying here because I don't want to burn the property. So people are always opening our gates, always bothering us, cutting the water pipes. And this is the last time I excuse this. But next time I will make the police report. And then I will have a camera and I will provide the video and audio to the police. So that's where I'm answering the question. And this gentleman, I don't know what his issues are, but RU4, when we purchase the property, we can witness through the agent. She told us, oh, you can build we're not from this area. She said, oh, you can build it and then you can apply the permits. And we believe her. She has a lot of properties. She sells us. We have over 30 acres in the area, right behind the dollar store. Everything pretty much we own it. We try to move our office here. It's a very peaceful area. We want something peaceful, and it's a good area, and it's going to help the neighborhood, basically. We're going to employ people. The state has approved. So we're working with the state of Phoenix. They are doing a lot of work with us. So we're not leaving, we're gonna stay here. And that's our place. We're gonna live in their house. She and I and our niece. And if somebody worked there, come to clean something, we pay him. And he lived in the 30 years in the area, a gentleman. So we just want him to protect our property. That's it. That's what I want to say. But if they have problem, they can sit down with us. We are adults. Any question they have, they want to come to my property, come sit down with us. We'll invite for the dinner, sit down, talk to us. If they're bothered by any material, we will make sure this never happens. But we don't have anything there except few boxes there, which is not a cement. It looks like cement. It's organic material. And lab tests can be done by the city. It's nothing harmful in the property. It can harm anybody. And dust problem is the nature. I cannot stop the dust because when the storm comes, the dust go everywhere. That's I can help. I don't know how to help the dust. Dust is everywhere. When the windstorm comes, dust is everywhere. When I come to this property first time, I see a lot of dust come to my house too. But there was not on my property. It's coming from everywhere. So what can I do with that? I don't have any control over that. So I apologize. So, but anything they have personal matter, come to me and I'll help and try to clear that for them. Anything they want me to object, I will make sure that it doesn't happen, but nothing to do with the dust. If anything on the property bothering them, they can come, sit in a structure, eat with us and see everything. City can come and inspect the property, everything. We don't have anything to hide. So this, I'm sorry if somebody got bothered by us, but that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. I now declare the public hearing portion closed. This is the time for commission discussion. Do we have any questions of the applicant or staff?
Well, I do have a question, ma'am.
Mr. Montgomery?
Okay, looking at some of the photos, let's see. Could you scroll that, please, a little bit? Regarding dust and clearing 5 acres down to the dirt, I know from experience that can be a big problem. But I'm looking at that large photo right now, and on the other side of the road, that seems to be cleared also. If anybody could correct me on that. It seems pretty barren property, doesn't it?
It's like it's an overgrazed horse.
It's overgrazed?
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
You
So,
see 2 horses standing in a pile of hay.
okay. Okay, so that's a lot of dust, right? Would it be any less or more dust than the 5 acres that were cleared? Be about the same, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. Can we go back to another photo? Yes, that one. Just curious, it says the proposed residence and it has some square footage there. Could I ask, what is the nature of the materials to the right side of that residence?
The material is
Yes, sir.
It's called soil hardener, and it's actually ash when the electrical companies burn the coals. We take the ash
Mhm.
and then we combine with what do you call the steel fibers, and we make this material for soil hardening. So we don't use cement.
Okay,
So it's not harmful. It's eco-friendly through United Nations, has been certified. And it's just a few bucks. I can move to my other property if it's necessary, but I normally cover by the tarp. And I think the winds blow out a couple of tarps. But the gentleman who lives right now is a caretaker. He can cover everything. So if any objection on that, I apologize and I take care of that immediately.
okay. I am asking, yes, I don't know what it is.
No,
Okay.
Mhm.
This is a manufacturer material with the plywood outside, and then it's filled with a special insulation. So it's much higher, goes up to 52 R value, 52. And it's very, very good for desert area or cold area. And then it comes manufactured from factory.
Okay,
So it comes and then we assemble together. So we didn't have to cut much. So it took 3 hours to put everything together.
it's construction material. then.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to know.
Question?
Mr. Gonzalez, you have a question?
Yes. You mentioned that you put a lock on your gate and somebody else opened
yeah,
the lock.
yes.
So it shows lack of respect for your property. The panels you're talking about used to be popular here, but they were filled with foam with plywood on both sides. A very good insulator and a quick way to build a house. It has a lot of longevity. I also have a hard time. I've been out here a long time dealing with a lot of work on land. I don't think that 5 acres will create a dust bowl. You know, and I see vegetation growing already on that. I find it difficult to accept responsibility for dust blowing, which it blows everywhere out here. It's not here because you're here. You know, it came from everybody. So I'm somewhat bothered I'm getting the feeling that they're not respecting your property as you are respecting theirs. But you're willing to work with them to resolve the issues.
The name,
Yeah, yeah. So, and what you're doing is the construction material's not illegal. It's been used and it's being used in Phoenix and everywhere else.
right,
So being a new person, trying to be a good neighbor, I'm sure you're not going to shoot yourself on the foot and start
No,
doing
no.
illegal things. But I'm glad to see that you're coming in and creating and enhancing the economy of the area. And water's water. The issue with the well, that has to be resolved somehow. Apparently, they don't want to share, although it's a community well. And they're telling you that you need to drill it, your own well. So that they didn't do themselves. So I don't know. It's, I'm somewhat bothered by this whole dynamic in this community, you know? I wish you well.
then I respect everyone and I will be respecting everyone and I've
Yeah.
been staying here for a long time.
Yeah.
That's my intent, so I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Many people come to Cochise County, especially in the last few years. They may have different ideas, different ways of doing things, but they have a right to do what's right on their land, and as long as it's legal.
Appreciate it.
That's about it. Thank you.
Mr. Watkins.
Yeah, sir.
Mr. Khan, could you stay up?
You say you manufacture charging stations?
Correct. We have a manufacturing facility in Korea, so we can assemble electrical charging over here in Pierce County.
Is this property going to be where you assemble all this?
No, not this property. We own a lot of lots in the area.
Okay.
So we will come back to, first to you guys we're just finishing some drawings and paperwork. So we will submit everything to you.
So this is purely residential?
Yeah, this is the pure residence.
Okay.
This is nothing else. Just 3 people. If some guests come for maybe an hour or two, that's it. There's no traffic, no buses and no cars coming down there. Mostly it's gonna be parked. We may buy the dollar store building, so we'll be parking there. Or we may park the other space we purchased next to the bank building. So we're making parking a little bigger.
You're
So
talking
we
about
parked it.
down Sunset.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Limbach.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague, Mr. Gonzalez. I'm sorry, yes. I do believe that there was some disrespect toward his neighbors, as is evidenced by the multiple zoning regulation violations, clearing land without permit, building, constructing without permits. That's not being respectful and that's not being law abiding. And I think many of the concerns expressed by the neighbors are legitimate, especially when it's affecting the functioning of the well. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of transparency with respect to what the intended use of the living quarter would be. At one point, there was a mention of employees residing there. The application itself seemed to contain some conflicting information. Zero automobiles, 0 trucks coming and going from the property. Anyway, so those are my concerns, and I don't know if you had occasion to read any of the comments.
Yeah, I did read the comments, and I think when we come to this county, the only person we know is the real estate agent, and she was licensed And she, multiple occasions we ask her, and she said, oh, no, this is RU4. You can just go ahead and later you can apply for the permit. And we mislead by her and we just made a mistake and we did submit the permit later on and I hope so. I was not in the town, I was in Korea, she was here.
I want to help you, your question. Only time we remember about the trucking is when we brought in the panels. And unless we will fill up whole property with a building, I don't think we will have a big trucking in this area. That was just for the temporary time. And clearing permit, that which we had no idea. So that's been clear, but I find out later, and then I did pay for the permit fee, and then I cleared that issue immediately. And burning bushy was, we already knew, so we took I believe either one time or two times. We pulled the permit, including residents and including our office site, and we did pull the permit for burning. So we are new in town. We're going to continue to learn and then comply, especially the neighbors are watching. I don't think we'll continue to do whatever they're going to be bothered. About they are concerned about many traffics, and I don't think they have to worry about those. We will be focusing on our business, not the residents. This is just for us to stay because it was costing a lot of money for hotels. Because prior to moving into this area, we stay in a Wilcox. We didn't even have any idea having a motel in the Sunside. So we've been commuting from Motel 6 and Holiday Inn cross street from Wilcox and then to Pierce. So it was very tiring because we are used to 5-minute drive from home to the business in California versus minimum 30 to 40 minutes just to get to hotel to our location. It was very difficult. That's the reason we purchased the resident here so we can stay there. So we can be a little bit closer, but still consider it's a little bit far from our business location to this. And we are still moving in, so we were there for a long time, remodeling, changing the floor, painting. We did not change any structure. We just painted, but we got to repaint again because the person who painted did not follow the instruction. They end up putting the trim color and then put everything in the main color. So it's too blue at this moment, but we're gonna make sure it's gonna be beautified and do the right color into our Pierce area. So there will be any big heavy trucking going back and forth because this will be only used for the resident purpose, and we will not conduct a business, and we cannot conduct business in this area. It's too small. This property is too small, and the garage is only like 436 square feet. It's all occupied with our furniture. And of course, the other resident, we thought it was 1157. It showed on a Zillow. That's how I found online when we were purchasing. That's why I put it on 1157. I didn't even had a chance to measure. But somehow it looks small, but I just follow by the recording of the online. I found out recently from Matthew Taylor about the actual size from the property. Did I answer correctly?
Yes, and what is the current status then of the violations?
Current station, we cleared the site, we paid for the permit, and we put the permit for the septic tank, but we had no idea it was too big. So we talked to the Wilcox, very famous septic tank company. We notified them, can we reduce down? Because we have one bathroom in a new structure. So why didn't you advise us that is too big for this type of size? So he's getting us a new quotation to redo the engineering for that size. So they will be modified.
And then your,
1,500 gallons, yes.
sorry. Your application indicated that this is a phased project. So can you explain how many phases are there going to be? Are you looking at adding additional structures or?
Oh, at this moment, I don't have any phase. This is gonna be the only one. So I think because all these people behind, they are fully aware about the septic tank sizes due to the exercise, and we had no idea because I never had to deal with septic tank. We actually order from overseas, and that was too small. So we have to waste 10 septic tank.
We have.
Or maybe donate to somebody who can use for 750. So that was the delay because we cannot put in 1,500 gallons of the septic tank. And it was costing us too much money, and the engineer did not tell us that was too big for this size because we asked for 1,500. We had no idea it's not suitable for this size. So that already been talked about to our engineer, that can we reduce to the suitable size for 2 bedroom? Yes, yes. Yeah.
Madam Chair,
We're not a mean people. We are very like friendly people. Yeah.
Mr. Coxworth,
if I can,
excuse us.
sorry for interrupting. We don't currently show any permits for the property for clearing or septic. Do you have any documentation?
I pay online. So I had hard time with the computer. I'm not really familiar with the computer. So Mr. Matthew and Taylor, he guided me through how to pay.
So you paid
Yes.
for the
Second
permit.
thing, it was paid from the Wilcox company for 1,500 gallons, but that's gonna be fixed because I don't want big septic tank.
What I'm asking for is, do you have documentation of a permit
Permit,
for the septic tank?
yes. No, we paid for the septic tank.
Well, not pay for it.
I don't
You
have
paid
it with
it,
me.
you paid an engineer, but do you have a permit documentation?
Not sure. I can give you what I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
Then I can.
Sometimes you pay a contractor, they don't always obtain a permit.
Oh, I see.
He did it, and I think he said he submitted.
Okay, we currently don't have any documentation of a permit for a septic tank. You mentioned a clearing permit. Do you have any documentation showing you obtained a clearing permit?
I don't have it with me, but I
Mr.
paid it
Coxworth?
online.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
If you could look up number 23-002655. That is showing on the parcel history as a septic tank. There's an open permit. 002655. That was one of my questions, why so big?
City.
You see it.
Ms. Chong, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm very unclear. What is your business? What you said you were traveling back and forth to get to Pierce. Are you operating a business in
No, not
Pierce?
yet. No, not yet.
Then the mention of employees staying there? What
One
is that?
handyman, he helps us sometimes paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
And
one
then pretty
person?
much One person.
And you're not going to be bringing the EV charging stations to Pierce?
No, he is coming from the site. You're gonna.
Downtown.
Okay,
Area,
different
yeah.
place.
Yeah, different place,
Alright.
not at home,
Manufacturer, retired.
So this is your home and your business is in the other
other
street?
sites, yeah, sun site.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't show it in the system, but it does show here. So there is a permit for it. I'm not quite sure why it's not linking.
Yes, there are several, you have several open permits according to what I found. The clearing without a permit is unresolved.
Yeah.
Did you go to court for that? Last year in
No,
May?
no, I didn't go to court.
Said you had a pre-hearing memorandum in May of 2023 to address the cleared land.
That may have been the hearing officer. Is it?
Yeah, it was Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very concerned that you need to resolve these issues before we issue another permit.
Okay.
We don't want to keep issuing more and more and more permits. You need to fix the old permits.
There's a, maybe one of them was online error. Because I keep going onto the wrong site and then open permit. And then I actually asked Mr. Matthew to show me how to enter into make a payment. Yes, yes. So there might have been same permit, but open 2 times. Yes.
Well, and then
But
there was another one in January. There was last year was an issue, and then in January there was an issue. I spoke to them this morning.
Okay.
So I'm not of a mind to keep issuing you permits until the old permits are resolved. So is there anyone else that would like to ask questions
Yes.
before we move forward?
Yes,
Mr.
I will.
Montgomery?
I may have a contrary view to that in that I can see a bit of confusion in all of this process with everybody involved, online, with the county departments, with neighbors, with dust and neighboring property being equally barren. A lot of confusion. But I do not see any intent on the part of our applicants today to skirt the system or try to do anything nefarious or underhanded. I think these people are working hard to live the American dream, and property ownership is key to that on the planet Earth, and we do that here in America. So I believe, if I could just ask one question, if there are permits that are not resolved yet, but in the works, or if any are to be had, will you tell everybody that you will comply with those permits and you'll take care of it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I need to know. And I would wish you the best of luck with your projects and move ahead. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I guess I just have a comment. It sounds like you've been misled by people that should know. And I would suggest you have some recourse there. I'm not telling you what to do. But it sounds like you need help in a lot of this stuff and to talk to somebody who knows how to do this stuff. I do, the septic tank, I do see there's an open permit issued on September 8th of 23. So,
Yes.
that's okay. But then there's other violations that have been, that are open or closed or whatever. Please do what you can to resolve those.
But we have to resubmit the engineering because that size is too big.
Yeah, but
Yes.
the permits are there. There is a permit for a single family residence that's pending. So they are trying to work to resolve these issues and work through these.
I just have a question, a general question. You got a land clearing permit. Why did you feel you needed to clear the whole 5 acres?
I think mistake by someone we hired,
We had no idea it was all clear.
it was just a house.
So there's some land supervision.
We just cleaned the house. We just want to own the house.
Regarding that, you hired somebody to clear the land, right? You hired a contractor. That contractor should know better and know that he is responsible to ensure that the permits are in order. So you might want to visit with him and ask him why he cleared the whole 5 acres that he did not need to be cleared. Yeah.
The person actually walked over to meet us, that he needs the job. And then he can do it just to clearing the little small bushes for $200. That's why we said yes. Because we want to be friendly with the person. And we had Chris we didn't know who he was. But when by the time we came back, the site was all clear, had no idea, and then he submitted the invoice at $9,850. He threatened us to pay, so we paid. We were a little naive and
You
dumb.
wanted a little clearing and you got a whole 5 acres.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, seems like you've been misled by some people. Need to go back and try to rectify all that stuff. I believe that you're trying to do the right thing in a strange land with strange ways of doing things.
Yes.
Welcome to Cochise County.
Thank you. What an entry. We are called for cartel. We are called for many different names, but we laughed about it. But now we are learning, but we are not going back. We're gonna continue to stay in Cochise County. We love out here.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Watkins?
Well, as I said before, there's a lot of unresolved issues. I tend to agree with the chair that we shouldn't keep issuing stuff until those things have been resolved. On the other hand, you've got neighbors who are watching every step you're doing, and they'll call in and make a complaint, I guarantee you. So I'm going to throw this out there, and it probably may get shut down, but I'm going to move that we table this till next month to give them a chance to resolve a lot of these issues.
Will that work for you?
Well,
Can I
if you
get-
make a motion, you need to go through the.
Can I get a second on that?
A second?
Mr. Gonzalez, you seconded?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Is 1 month sufficient time?
Let's see.
You have to staff to tell us that.
It's fine. Table it to a time certain. If we need to, we could table to a time certain the following month if necessary, but a month should be fine. The septic permit was approved.
So is that a motion and a second with discussion to follow?
It is. And we're having discussion.
This is discussion right now.
This is discussion.
Then I would discuss that possibly delaying this process, this program, will cause it to be in that unfinished state even longer for others to complain about, for an unfinished item to sit unfinished. If they cannot proceed with their efforts until something else is done first, it's just going to sit that way. I would prefer that they go ahead and have the right to go ahead and finish their program here while entertaining unfinished permits. And how many of those are there? 1 or 2?
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4. Would you like to recite them, please?
The number?
The nature of them, please.
Well, the septic is not closed. The building permit for the new structure and the clearing over an acre back in February of last year is open. Again, another complaint was made, clearing without a permit from January is open. I don't understand this one. It says the word not, but there's another January 2023. So 3.
That's a notice of transfer of the septic system, actually.
Oh, okay, so that's not really valid. So 3, there are 3 items that need to be clarified.
2 of the 3 are clearing the acreage.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and
Do you
that was
intend to do-
suggested.
Excuse me. Sorry. Do you intend to do anything about the cleared land? Can you reseed? Can you do something?
It should be just one time, but 2 other time was by error, just online error, not going to the right site, what Mr. Matthew Taylor sent us. So that's why it became 3. It should have been just 1.
But it's a year ago. Yeah, this is why we've made the motion to clarify things rather than just keep compounding. Do you think there's something you can do to help your land regrow?
Then they're gonna say you using the water.
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts.
100% we can see it,
Yeah.
with nice plans, but you use the Holland and another.
Good.
We have no say-so over water use.
I'm sorry?
We have no say-so
Mhm.
over that, over water use.
All right, we do have a motion. Shall we go ahead and vote?
How about the way?
You may amend.
I would like to amend my motion that we make it as a condition of approval that any open violations be cleared.
Yes.
I agree there.
Mr. Gonzalez, would you like to
Second.
second? So now we have an amended motion. What do we do with the first one?
Oh, yeah. On the first one, you had a motion and a second, so you got to vote on it. He amended the motion. Christine Roberts,
Can we
have you been
withdraw the
tracking?
Yes, I have. There was a motion and a second on the first motion, so they need to vote on that motion, and then a new motion needs to be made.
So we can't do it as amended?
No.
You're following Robert's rules, I'm following Bob's.
Okay.
Okay, so I will withdraw the second motion.
I'll withdraw the second.
No. And then we're on the first.
Could you repeat the first one then?
The first one was that we table this to next month till these are clear.
So let's take a vote on tabling this special use application until next month, pending the clearance of their open violations. So let's take a vote on that. Mr. Montgomery?
I'll vote no.
Okay. Mr. Limbach?
Aye.
Mr. Watkins?
I'm gonna vote no.
And Mr. Young, are you following?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez?
No.
Mr. Martsky?
No.
Mr. Saunders?
No.
And the chair votes no also. So that motion does fail. I'd like to entertain another motion,
Okay,
Mr.
I will make a
Watkins.
motion that we make as a condition of approval, if it is approved, that these open violations be cleared within, what's a good time frame?
You're going to want to make a motion to approve with conditions of,
Approval. We need to do that with the.
that would be my suggestion, yeah. So instead
That
of,
was my question, if we had to just amend the sample motion of approval.
yes.
Sorry, that would be fine.
Hello, if I can just chime in, I believe there is a sample motion that's there a motion to approve with the conditions. So if I can, okay, there it is. And I would just add to it the amended condition that you want to put on there and what that condition is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion before we move in that direction? Hearing none.
Well,
You snoozed. Who wants to make the motion with the amendment attached?
I will make the motion, Madam Chair. I move to approve the docket SU 24-10. Doe Ranch ALQ with conditions of approval. Conditions of approval recommended by staff. The factors in favor of approval constituting the findings of fact.
Second that motion.
Question.
I think we need to be specific on that condition
Conditions.
because there are no conditions listed.
Well,
Ms. Robert?
Correct. You need to be very specific. There are recommended conditions, I believe, that the staff has there, but you're adding one. So you need to be very specific in what the condition is, what the requirements are, and what the time frame will be.
So the conditions, standard conditions that go with it.
All zoning
Yeah.
regulation violations satisfied. So no later than 6 months from approval.
Mr. Montgomery, you want to amend your motion to what Mr. Limbach has?
I think it's already said. It's part of the staff recommendation for the conditions of approval. And our guests have said to us all that they are totally in line with complying with whatever conditions are needed.
I think you're enabling this
I personally-
commission to vote no. We need to include what we discussed as a number 3 condition, so to speak, so that we can move this forward.
Was that hearing?
All the open violations resolved. I think that is simple enough.
I would ask that all the open violations be cited specifically. What are they, please?
No, I don't think we should do that.
Well, then we don't know what we're voting on.
I mean,
For immunities, I'm sorry, there were only 3, and it turned out that 2 of them were the same thing. And that brings it down.
Well, I'm not sure that's correct. They have different dates, so. See, that's something that the code group needs to figure out. Why don't we amend or make a condition, not amend, I'm sorry, make a condition that they be cleared from the code group. Help me with the name, Salier and
Code violation. So,
the inspector? The inspector?
yeah, so you're asking that there's a condition placed prior to issuance of a building permit for the ALQ and that all code violations be cleared. Obviously, the building permit one can't be until,
Correct. And that's why I didn't want to list them.
yeah. So which you want the clearing permit approved and issued, and the septic looks like it's been approved already. The other structures have been permitted. So it's really just a clearing permit.
Yeah, it's just the clearing violation.
Yeah. And that might just be putting down some, erosion control. So, but we can leave that up to our engineering natural resources department.
Is there a motion before us at this time?
There is, and it includes no additional conditions.
Oh.
The motion is as was on the screen.
Mhm.
I ask staff, your current conditions, do they cover some of these open violations? And we only have the land clearing as an open violation, and to me, that's a minor violation.
Just by approving the ALQ, you're not wiping the slate clean on any of the violations like the clearing permit. They still have to resolve that regardless.
Mhm.
So you want to condition the approval based on the resolution of code violations. I think that'd be the best
In
approach to
time
this.
certain rather than dragging us out for years.
And the time certain is through our code violation process. So once this decision has been made, I will check with code violation on where they are at in the process, because this puts it on hold. And then we have a hearing this month. The next hearing is in 2 more months. If nothing has been done, they'll be scheduled for that for the hearing officer in September. If it's not resolved by then,
Even that what I mentioned. It's completed process.
So I think we should just move forward and vote on Mr. Montgomery's motion. And staff aside has been recommended heavily that they follow up on these open code violations. Are we satisfied with that? Or is there more discussion that needs to be had? Mr. Watkins?
I'm good.
Mr. Montgomery?
Regarding the land clearing, probably one of the proposed solutions is that you reseed the land. You know, you can't do that because if they reseeded the last 2 years, we still would have no more grass than we have.
There's no rain.
It's out of their control. So, let nature's resiliency take effect and see what we have, just like we have in all the country around. Well,
Thank you, Mr.
you
Gonzalez.
got that horse pasture across the road from it. It's more barren than this property. A lot of dust came from thousands of acres around there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Depends which way the wind's blowing. It could be coming off the dry lake. Yeah. Which, nobody has control of. I suggest, and I agree, let's move on. Have faith in our staff that they will make sure the conditions are met. Basically comes down to a building thing and a land clearing, which are, I don't see them as real strong obstacles to clear.
All right. we
Perhaps
have-
my last comment, if I may. I would like our friends to be able to proceed with their project with the oath that they will attend to whatever permits are needed. If there are some that are open that were mistakenly advanced or unfinished, they have already told us now several times that they will take care of that. And I don't want to put their lives on hold until some more bureaucracy takes place. I'll let them go to work. They'll take care of what they need to take care of. And that is how I will vote.
So without further ado, I'd like to call for the vote. Mr. Saunders,
Aye.
Mr. Martsky, Mr. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mr. Young,
Aye.
Mr. Watkins.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Mr. Limbach,
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery.
Obviously, I.
Thank you. This motion carries. Congratulations. Any individual disagreeing with this action has the right to appeal to the Board of Supervisors within 15 days. An application for appeal is available from the clerk at the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or online at cochise.az.gov. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience, everyone in the room.
Well, just, you can get in touch with the department. Yeah, tomorrow or the next day.
Mr. Coxworth, do you have a report for us?
Yes, you have 2 dockets in August, another accessory living quarters. Is that a result of a code violation, that one? Okay. Starting from
Nice.
scratch on that one.
That's good.
And a special use for an RV park in Palominas. That's the only 2 you have for next month.
Thank you. The commissioners have anything else they'd like to bring up before we adjourn? Hearing none, we are adjourned.